Let's see if this new Devil May Cry is any good. Devil May Cry. Ooh, yeah.
Awesome. Fantastic. Destruction.
Whoa. The music's picking up.
Total destruction. Combo. Destruction. Strong reaction.
Loud.
Strong reaction.
Ow.
Fantastic. Phenomenal. Excellent.
Too loud. Hello everybody, it's me, Nate, aka Devil Dog, and I'm back with another game review. This time I'm reviewing the just released Devil May Cry 5. It was developed and published by Capcom and was just released on March 8th of 2019 on the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, and Microsoft Windows. It runs off the highly modified kick-ass Resident Evil game engine, and it does include a Day 1 patch. Keep that in mind. Now, this game features the return of your classic heroes of Dante, Nero, and a new playable character named V. Each playable character has their own sets of distinct moves and abilities. Good examples, Nero has his trusty blue rose revolvers, his red queen sword, but his new main mechanic has to be the use of devil breakers. Different attachable and detachable and breakable robotic arms that each have their own functions, from doing everything from slowing down time, pulling enemies from a distance, to even freezing them. You can ride on them like jet boards and everything. And his arms have a lot of different uses, but they do break if you get hit by an enemy, so you'll have to remember that. But you are able to pick up new ones and buy new ones throughout the areas, and also with your trusty sidekick during side parts when you actually call her up on a phone and she'll show up in her van and you can buy an upgrade and level up your character that way. Now, throughout your epic rocktastic adventure, as your fan favorite Dante, he does return, and you have your signature Sparta Demon Sword and your Rebellion, and also your Ebony and Ivory pistols. But Dante also gets a new set of fire boots and gauntlets, and a badass transforming motorcycle I thought was called Cavalier that turns into these neat saw blade weapons that you can also drive around on. He also gets to use the Will de Cerebus as you go through as well. Now, as for the third playable character, the new character V, the way he fights is a totally different experience. Now, instead of directly using weapons like the other two, he attacks mainly focus on him casting magic with his book and cane, summoning monsters to do the fighting for him, like a Black Panther that is used to summon spikes, portals, and blades, which acts as his sword weapon, and a griffin giant bird that's pretty funny as hell as you listen to it, that is your version version of a ranged attack that uses lightning moves and other stuff as well. And as you progress and you level him up and up, you'll also be able to cast on a giant golem that kind of acts like his form of a devil trigger mode. That, when you play as him, it does seem a little wonky at first until you realize that you're controlling these other characters. And a lot of people have said it makes you feel disconnected to the fighting. I actually found it to be really badass and a refreshing change of pace compared to the other two characters in terms of how you play as them. Now, like I said, this golem will actually use like laser beams and melee attacks. It's super powerful. He doesn't stick around for too long, but considering how powerful he is, it makes sense. Now, as for the basic plot, I'm not going to get into massive details with it. I'm going to a quick synopsis. But basically, the new bad guy, Urzin, is trying to take over the world. So the DMC team shows up in Red Grave City to stop him. And during your roughly, give or take, 10 to 15 hour endeavor, you'll fight against all kinds of cool kick-ass demons as you progress to stop Urzin from consuming the fruit of the Clyfoth tree so he cannot become king of the underworld and take over the world. Now, as for your combos and skills, each character starts off with a few decent moves, but as you progress throughout the game world, once again, by smashing things and killing enemies, you'll collect red orbs that you can use to upgrade new moves, abilities, items, weapons, and stuff like that. Now, however, this game does have microtransactions that allow you to buy and unlock your abilities faster. I am never a fan with that, and I feel that it feels like it's shoehorned in. But after checking them out and see, I'm not a fan at all of it, but I do have to admit the prices aren't that bad. I mean, you can get like 100,000 red orbs for like $2. I mean, I still recommend playing the game. You get more than enough red orbs playing through this game and fighting enemies to be able to get most all your abilities. And of course, you got to remember, after you beat the game, then there's stuff that unlocks as well, new moves and stuff like that to play through it again. So it has a good amount of replayability. I kind of feel like the microtransactions were shoehorned into this game, and they don't need to be here. Now, as for the cameo system, this really odd system, it's not a multiplayer game. Devil May Cry definitely isn't. It is still a single-player experience, but sometimes you, during the fighting levels, it'll say starring and have someone's name in the corner of your screen, and that means that you'll be able to actually play alongside other people sometimes. Most of the time, you'll see the players fighting off in the distance, fighting monsters, but on certain levels, you will actually get to fight side by side, kind of like a form of a co-op mode, which is actually pretty well done. And after this mission is done, the level's over, you can give rating to the other character if you thought that they did good enough. And by getting enough of these good ratings, you'll actually get gold orbs that can be used kind of like one-ups, where you can continue to fight and revive yourself after running out of health. They're actually very, very helpful, honestly. Now, keep in mind, when you're playing this game on the regular systems, it will kind of stutter kind of drastically. It plays the worst on the original Xbox, followed by the PlayStation 4. And as you get the better systems like the Xbox One and the PS4 Pro, it runs the best on the Xbox One with its 4K resolution and everything. And the PS4 Pro looks pretty nice, but you can tell they're using some form of checkerboarding effect to actually get it to a higher resolution. Though I have noticed some things like particle effects don't seem to change on any of the systems. I'm not sure if that's just me, but I've noticed that. And I have to give some pros and cons with this game. First of all, a big distraction from this game that doesn't break it in any way is there are some camera issues. I've had several instances throughout the levels when I'm fighting monsters, when I'm fighting epic boss battles, but the camera kind of gets a little wonky, and sometimes the geometry of the levels will get in your way and block your view, and that is a little bit of an annoyance, but nothing that you can't get used to. Another thing is the dodge mechanic seems to be based on what direction the camera is facing. So if you want to dodge to the right or the left, you have to press in that direction and the dodge button. Well, that's fine, but that's based on your camera orientation. So sometimes pressing up will actually make you dodge to the side. So you have to figure that out, and after you play the game enough, you'll get used to that as well. And I've noticed some odd level design with a lot of backtracking, but if you've ever played any Devil May Cry game, you kind of know how it's going to be. Some semi-open world aspects with a lot of corridors that connect together with rooms that'll seal off where you have to fight a bunch of bad guys, rinse and repeat. I mean, after all, this is a pretty good true return to form for a Devil May Cry game. And some ugly textures. I understand sometimes game development will actually do a lower resolution texture on far away things to save on memory, but I've had several instances where I've noticed really ugly, like they're unfinished textures that's like on items right in my face. And it's a distraction for me, but it's not going to take away from the game. I mean, honestly, this game is fantastic. Like I said, after you play through and you beat the game, you'll get new unlockable powers and moves after the game ends that allows you to go back through and play through with the 3 characters and you know, keep playing for a good amount of replayability. There's also like special missions you'll come across in certain levels that'll take you to like time attack modes where you can actually get more items and stuff like that. Hands down, this is a fantastic game. A truthfully honest return to the Devil May Cry series. I mean, I actually was a fan of the DMC game. I know it wasn't really all that well received, but it wasn't that bad of a game. I mean, it didn't have quite the charm and the quirkiness of the original Devil May Cry series because it was a different development team that made it. And, you know, it did show in the game even though it was playable. But this, hands down, has got the heart, it's got the soul, it's got the quirky one-liners, it's got the over-the-top badass moments. This is a true return to form for Devil May Cry. And I love the fact that this RE game engine is so versatile and can make everything look so damn good. This game plays great, and there's only been a couple instances on my PS4 Pro where I've noticed a little hint of slowdown. But other than that, the action is frenetic, it's frantic, it's over the top. It has got the rockin' music. Each character has their own different kind of stylized music when you play as them. And in the end, even though a lot of people probably won't really like V, I like V the best. He is such a nice, refreshing take on the Devil May Cry series in terms of how to actually fight that I absolutely love the character. I mean, don't get me wrong, Dante's still my favorite, hands down. And the addition of the Devil Breakers, or whatever they're called for Nero, is a really fantastic way of mixing it up to where he has so many different alternate moves and abilities. Hands down, this is a fantastic game. If you haven't played it yet already, go ahead and pick it up. If you're a fan of the Devil May Cry series, you will absolutely adore this game. And if you haven't played a Devil May Cry game before, don't worry. They've even got a little story mode at the beginning that'll get you refreshed up on the story and all the characters, so you know what's going on in the Devil May Cry universe. And in the end, if you are worried about it, just go ahead and pick it up as a rental. I'm sure just after about 10-15 minutes of gameplay, you'll be like, damn dude, I gotta get this game, and you'll run out and buy it. I highly recommend that you go and get this game. It is fantastic. This was Nate, aka Devil Dog, and I want to thank each and every one of you for watching this video. Please leave in the comments below if you think this game is good, if you're getting it, if you're playing it, do you like it or do you hate it, what you think about Devil May Cry 5. And remember, I always end my videos by saying, have fun, play hard, and remember people, the devil is in the details. Peace out.